1. We're checking out this absolutely gorgeous 1972 Chevy El Camino that just popped up on Craigslist for $20,000. I've got to tell you, this one's really caught my attention. And here's why. This El Camino is rocking its original 350 V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission. And with 136,000 miles on the clock, it's clear this beauty has been well maintained. What really makes this one special is how original it is. We're talking factory AC, which is a huge plus for these classics. And check out those period-correct Krager wheels from the 70s. That's just the kind of authentic touch that makes vintage car lovers smile. The seller's gone the extra mile here. They've taken the car down to bare metal before repainting it in its original brown color, which shows real commitment to preservation. The vinyl roof is still original and, remarkably, shows no tears. Inside, you're looking at all original interior, and they've even got a vintage Bose stereo system that takes you right back to those early days. For $20,000, you're getting a well-preserved piece of American automotive history that's been thoughtfully maintained while keeping its original character intact. These El Caminos are getting harder to find in this condition, and with the work that's been done, particularly that bare metal repaint, this one seems like a solid find for anyone looking to get into classic car ownership or add to their collection. 2. We're looking at a really sweet 1964 Chevy C10 pickup that's listed for $22,000, and let me tell you, this one's pretty special. First things first, we're looking at a straight-six engine here with a manual transmission, which is exactly what you want in these classic C10s for reliability and that authentic vintage truck experience. The odometer shows just 30,000 miles, though with these older vehicles, we always have to take mileage with a grain of salt. The seller's done some nice upgrades that really enhance the truck's usability. There's an HEI, high-energy ignition conversion, which gives you better starting and more reliable spark, and a two-barrel carburetor setup that should help with both performance and fuel efficiency. They've also added a mat in the bed to protect it, and the electrical system has been updated. The truck's wearing a red paint job, and according to the seller, everything works with no issues. That's pretty remarkable for a nearly 60-year-old vehicle. It's got a clean title, and from the seller's description of it being immaculate, along with their reluctance to sell, this seems to be a well-loved example. At $22,000, while it's not cheap, you're looking at what appears to be a very clean, well-maintained C10 with some thoughtful upgrades. These trucks have been climbing in value, and finding one where everything works is getting harder and harder. 3. We're looking at a 1977 Ford F-150 that's listed for $15,000, and I've got to be completely honest with you about this one. There are some issues we need to discuss. Let's start with the good stuff. This beast is packing a massive 460 V8 engine paired with the sturdy C6 automatic transmission, and it's a 4x4 setup. It's sitting on brand new 37-inch Super Swamper boggers, which are serious off-road tires that don't come cheap. The truck's finished in white and has 115,000 miles on the clock. Now let's get real about the challenges, and there are several. First off, it's got a salvage title, which is a significant red flag and will affect both insurance and resale value. The 4x4 system needs a new actuator to work properly, and there's an unspecified fuel system problem that needs addressing. There's also a dent in the passenger side bed panel, and here's the kicker. It'll need to be trailered away, so it's not currently running or driving. At $15,000, I've got to be straight with you. That's a pretty steep asking price considering the issues. Yes, the 460 engine is desirable, and those new Super Swampers are expensive, but you're looking at a project truck that needs mechanical work, has body damage, and comes with a salvage title. This could be a cool truck when sorted out. These 70s F-150S are getting more popular, and the 460/C6/4x4 combination is definitely desirable. However, any potential buyer needs to go in with eyes wide open about the work and additional investment needed to get this truck running and reliable. 4. We're checking out an absolutely stunning 1966 Chevy C10 stepside that's listed for $25,850. And let me tell you, this one's a real head-turner. What we've got here is a beautifully executed classic truck build that combines original charm with modern drivability. Under the hood sits a 350 V8 that's been nicely upgraded with an Edelbrock intake manifold, carburetor, and air cleaner, plus an MSD ignition system for reliable starting and performance. The headers and dual exhaust should give this truck a proper V8 rumble, and the 700R4 4-speed automatic transmission is a fantastic upgrade that'll give you highway-friendly cruising ability. The teal and white two-tone paint combination is absolutely gorgeous, and it's matched perfectly with the interior, which features a thoughtfully done white vinyl and gray cloth bench seat with teal piping. Talk about attention to detail. The wood slat bed floor adds that perfect touch of classic truck charm. Modern amenities haven't been forgotten either. You're getting four-wheel disc brakes for modern stopping power, air conditioning for comfortable cruising, and a Kenwood CD stereo for your tunes. The floor-mounted shifter adds a sporty touch, and those custom floor mats with embroidered bow ties show the level of detail that went into this build. 5. We're looking at a seriously impressive 1971 Chevy C10 stepside that's listed for $30,000. And folks, this one's a real beauty. Let's dive into what makes this truck special. First off, it's a short bed stepside, arguably the most desirable body style for these C10s. The seller is only the second owner, which is pretty rare for a 50-year-old vehicle, and they've clearly been meticulous with its care. That black cherry paint is absolutely stunning, and being garage kept with a high-end cover means it's been protected from the elements. The seller even mentions they've never driven it in the rain. Under the hood, you're getting a GM 350 crate motor paired with a 700R4 transmission. That's a fantastic combination that gives you modern reliability with classic muscle. The power front disc brakes are a great safety upgrade, and the aftermarket air conditioning that's ice cold means you can enjoy this beauty even in the summer heat. With just 38,000 miles showing on the odometer, a clean title, and the original manual and Protecto plate, which is a great piece of documentation for collectors, this C10 represents a really well-preserved and thoughtfully upgraded classic. It's been a show truck, but it's also described as an excellent driver that's nice and smooth, exactly what you want in a classic vehicle. At $30,000, yes, it's at the higher end of the market, but you're getting a turnkey classic that's been properly maintained and upgraded in all the right ways. The combination of the desirable stepside body, that gorgeous black cherry paint, modern drivetrain reliability, and careful ownership history makes this a pretty compelling package. 6. We're checking out this 1983 GMC S15 pickup listed for $3,250. And I've got to say, this one's an interesting find that deserves some honest discussion. First, let's address the elephant in the room. That 26,000 mile odometer reading isn't telling the whole story, as the seller admits it's rolled over. So we're likely looking at 126,000 plus miles here, which is important to know up front. Now for the good stuff, this S15 is rocking a straight-six engine paired with an automatic transmission, which is actually a pretty reliable combination. The sellers put some work into it with custom green paint, new tires and wheels, and a spray-in bed liner, which are all practical upgrades. Being garage kept is definitely a plus, especially for a truck of this age. At $3,250, we're in reasonable territory for what's being offered. These S15s are becoming increasingly popular as affordable classic trucks, and this one appears to be a solid starting point. The seller's honest description about it being a father-son project suggests there's still some work to be done, but that could be part of the fun. The clean interior and overall presentation make this an interesting opportunity for someone looking to get into classic truck ownership without breaking the bank. It's not perfect, it's not a show truck, but it seems to be a decent example of these increasingly hard-to-find S15s. 7. We're looking at something really special, a 1970 Chevrolet El Camino SS with a 396 big block, listed at $30,000, and this one's got some serious muscle car DNA. Let's talk about what makes this Elky special. First off, it's packing a freshly built 396 V8, so fresh that it's still running break-in oil. That's paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, which is exactly what you want in a muscle-era vehicle for maximum engagement and fun. The seller describes it as a true time capsule, and it's finished in red, which really suits these classic El Caminos. One cool modern touch is the Dakota Digital Dash, which is a popular upgrade that gives you reliable gauges while maintaining a clean look. The seller mentions there's too much to list, which often suggests there are more upgrades and improvements that we'd need to see in person. At $30,000, we're definitely in serious collector territory, but let's remember what we're looking at here. This is an SS model El Camino, with a fresh 396 big block and a 4-speed manual. That's a highly desirable combination. The El Camino SS models from this era are increasingly valuable, combining muscle car performance with unique utility. For someone looking for a high-performance classic that stands out from the usual muscle car crowd, this El Camino could be a fantastic choice. The fresh motor means you're starting with a clean slate mechanically, and these cars are just as much fun to drive as they are to look at. 8. We're looking at something really special, a 1956 Chevrolet 3,200 long bed that's listed at $20,000. And folks, this is one thoroughly sorted classic truck. Let me tell you why this one stands out. It's powered by the legendary Blue Flame 235 CI inline 6 paired with a 4-speed manual floor shifter, a combo known for its reliability and torque. But what's really impressive here is the extensive list of recent work and upgrades that makes this truck ready to hit the road. The seller has done some serious mechanical refurbishing. We're talking about a rebuilt differential with new gears, fresh wheel bearings all around, new shocks, and 4 new tires on powder-coated rims. The brake system has been completely overhauled with all new OEM components, from the master cylinder to the shoes and drums. They've also installed a new clutch, throwout bearing, and even managed to source a new old stock transmission. That's pretty rare. The cooling system is all fresh with a new radiator, water pump, and all hoses, plus they've upgraded to electronic ignition for better reliability while keeping the classic look. The carburetor's been rebuilt, and it's got fresh fluids throughout. But wait, there's more. The seller is including a treasure trove of uninstalled parts, a complete OEM wiring harness, labeled, new OEM rear bumper, door seals, taillights, and even the vinyl tailgate lettering. These parts alone represent significant value. 9. Today we're checking out a 1974 Chevy C10 short bed that's listed for $8,800, and I need to be straight with you about what we're looking at here. This C10 has got the desirable short bed configuration and is powered by a 350 V8 with an automatic transmission, which is a solid powertrain combination. The seller says the engine runs and drives healthy, and with 74,209 miles showing, that's promising. They're also upfront about having a clean title, which is always good to hear. Now, let's talk about the challenges. And there are a few you need to know about. First and most importantly, the front disc brakes are dried up according to the seller, which means this truck isn't safe to drive home. You'll need to bring a trailer, and you'll definitely need to factor in the cost of a complete front brake system rebuild or replacement. The body is described as clean and straight, which is positive, but there is surface rust here and there. While the seller says there are no rust issues, you'll want to inspect those surface rust spots carefully to ensure they haven't started penetrating deeper. At $8,800, you're looking at a project truck that needs immediate attention to the brakes before it can be safely driven. However, these 70s C10s are becoming increasingly popular, and short beds typically command a premium. The 350 V8 is a great engine that's easy to work on and has plenty of aftermarket support. 10. We're looking at a 1977 Ford F-150 that's listed for $12,000. And let me give you the honest scoop on this classic pickup. This F-150 is powered by a straight-six engine paired with a manual transmission, a combination that's known for its reliability and simplicity. With 69,815 miles showing on the odometer and being described as running really well, that's promising news for potential buyers. The seller's been upfront about recent maintenance. They've installed a new battery, brake cylinder, and brake fluid reservoir, which shows they've been addressing important safety items. The truck is finished in brown and is said to drive great, which is always good to hear about a 46-year-old vehicle. Now, let's talk about the issues, because there are a few that need mentioning. The interior needs some TLC, their words. and there's a small rust patch on the rear passenger wheel arch. While that might not sound like much, any rust on these old trucks deserves careful inspection to make sure it hasn't spread underneath. At $12,000, you're in the middle range for these classic F-150S. The straight 6/ manual combo might not be as desirable as a V8, but it's arguably more reliable and definitely more fuel efficient. These trucks are gaining popularity as classics, and finding one that's described as a good driver with just minor issues is becoming increasingly rare. 11. We're checking out a sweet 1984 Chevrolet Scottsdale C10 that's listed for $17,000, and this one's got some nice performance upgrades that make it pretty interesting. Let's dive into what makes this truck special. First off, it's a short box configuration, which is typically the more desirable body style, and being a rust-free Oklahoma truck is a huge plus. Under the hood, you've got a 350 V8 that's been upgraded with a high-performance intake and cam, topped with a 4-barrel carburetor and breathing through headers and dual exhaust. So you know this thing's got a nice rumble to it. The exterior's been modernized with a fiberglass cowl induction hood and aluminum wheels, while the bed features a practical combo of a spray-in bed liner and a soft tonneau cover. That rear roll pan gives it a clean, custom look. Inside, you're getting a nice interior with some upgrades, including a tilt column with a custom steering wheel and a CD player for your tunes. With 100,000 miles on the clock and a clean title, this appears to be a well-maintained example that's been thoughtfully modified. The performance upgrades are all proven combinations that should make this truck both fun to drive and reliable. At $17,000, you're getting a nicely sorted square-body C10 that combines classic looks with enhanced performance. These trucks are really gaining in popularity, and finding one that's rust-free with tasteful modifications isn't easy anymore. 12. We're looking at a 1972 GMC pickup listed for $8,500, and I'll tell you straight up, we've got a pretty basic listing here that needs some reading between the lines. This classic GMC is powered by a 5.7 LV8, that's a 350 for those who speak old school, paired with an automatic transmission. The seller mentions it runs great and has very powerful engine, which is promising. But let's be realistic about that one. 000 mile odometer reading. On a 50-year-old truck, that's almost certainly after a rollover. One definite positive is that it's riding on brand new tires. That's a decent chunk of change you won't have to spend right away. However, the seller's comment about going to restore but have too many projects suggests this is definitely a project truck that needs work, not a finished restoration. At $8,500, you're in project truck territory here, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're looking to build something your way. These early 70s GMCs are solid platforms for restoration, and parts availability is generally good. The listing is pretty sparse on details, so if you're interested, you'll definitely want to do a thorough in-person inspection. Look for the usual rust spots these trucks are prone to. Check the frame, and verify the mechanical condition beyond just runs great. 13. We're looking at a really special 1970 Ford F-100 custom long bed that's listed at $27,100. And let me tell you why this one stands out from the crowd. This is a thoroughly restored truck with documented history. We're talking about a third-owner vehicle that spent its life in Portland, complete with original purchase paperwork. The seller has done an extensive restoration, taking both the front end and bed off the frame. That's the kind of thorough work you want to see. Under the hood, you've got the original 302 Windsor V8 paired with the classic 3-on-the-tree manual transmission. For purists, keeping these original drivetrain components is a big deal. The truck's finished in Wimbledon white with a restored black interior, and from the description, this has been a show-quality restoration that's actually won some awards. The seller's transparency is impressive here. They admit there are small rust spots in the front of the bed and it needs a rear bumper. But look at what's been done. New shocks, coil springs, suspension bushings. They even replaced about 95% of the hardware throughout the truck. That's the kind of attention to detail that matters. At $27,100, while it's definitely in the higher range for these trucks, You're getting a vehicle that's had an extensive, documented restoration with about 85% of the work completed. The seller has a photo album of the restoration process, which is fantastic for documenting the work done. 14. We're checking out a 1968 Chevy C10 listed at $13,500, and I need to be straight with you about what we're looking at here. Let's start with the basics. This C10 is running a 350 crate motor, which is a solid choice for reliability and performance. It's got headers and an exhaust system, plus some new BF Goodrich TAs, which are great tires. The truck's got an automatic transmission, which makes it an easy driver. Now let's talk about what you need to know. First, that 80,000 mile odometer reading isn't accurate. The seller's honest about it having rolled over, so we're likely looking at 180,000 plus miles here. The seller describes it as needing some TLC, which is usually code for there are some issues that need addressing. At $13,500, you're in the middle range for these 68 C10s. The crate motor is definitely a plus, as is the performance-oriented exhaust setup and those new tires. However, the needs TLC comment suggests you should budget for some additional work. This appears to be what we often call a 20-footer. Probably looks good cruising down the road, but might need some attention up close. It's described as a nice driver, which suggests it's at least mechanically sound enough for regular use. And hey, if you've got cryptocurrency, the seller's open to that form of payment, which is interesting. 15. We're looking at something pretty special. A 1985 Dodge Ram Charger Royal SE that's listed for $9,500. And this one's got some serious collector potential. What makes this Ram Charger stand out is its incredible history. We're talking about a genuine one-owner vehicle that was purchased new at Lithia Dodge, with verified 100,000 original miles backed up by Carfax and service records. That kind of documented history on a nearly 40-year-old SUV is pretty rare. Under the hood, you've got the trusty 318 5.2L V8 paired with an automatic transmission and 4WD, a combination known for its reliability. What's really impressive is the recent comprehensive service. Fresh fluids in the engine, both differentials, and transfer case, plus a complete transmission service. They've also done spark plugs, cap and rotor, and both fuel and air filters. That's the kind of thorough maintenance you want to see. This Ram Charger is all stock and original, which is becoming increasingly rare as many of these have been modified over the years. It's finished in black, and being a Royal SE model, it would have come with some nice trim and comfort features for its time. At $9,500, considering the one-owner status, documented history, recent comprehensive service, and the fact that it comes with all original manuals and booklets, you're looking at a pretty fair price for what could be a future collector piece. These Ram Chargers are gaining popularity among classic SUV enthusiasts, and finding an all-original, well-documented example is getting harder. 16. We're looking at a 1981 Dodge D350 Dually that's listed for $5,000. And let me give you the straight scoop on this working classic. First off, this isn't your typical pickup. It's a dually with some interesting features, including removable sides and a dump bed, which makes it a potentially useful work truck. The seller's been upfront about the odometer having rolled over, so that 8,974 reading isn't telling the whole story. We're likely looking at 108,974 miles or more. There have been some recent updates worth noting. New calipers, tires, and a left front upper control arm for the suspension. They've also added some modern conveniences like a Bluetooth radio, installed new rear lights, and put in a fresh treated wood bed. These are practical upgrades that add usability. The seller describes the condition as fair, which is refreshingly honest. It's wearing white paint, has a clean title, and comes with a manual transmission paired to its V8 engine, a robust combination for a work truck. At $5,000, you're looking at a utilitarian vehicle that could be perfect for someone who needs a capable work truck with that useful dump bed feature. The dually setup and heavy-duty D350 platform means it's built for serious hauling. 17. We're looking at a 1956 Ford F600 listed at $5,300, and I'm going to give you the full scoop on this interesting piece of working history. This old workhorse comes with some character. It's a former potato hauler from eastern Washington, powered by a 292 V8 paired with a 5-speed transmission and a 2-speed rear end. That's a serious powertrain combination built for heavy-duty work. The dump bed is functional, which is a big plus for anyone looking to put this truck back to work. Now, let's be completely honest about what you're getting into here. The seller's been refreshingly upfront about this being a project truck that's not quite ready for the road. They've invested in some significant updates, including over $5,000 in wheels and tires alone. Other new parts include a rebuilt seat, new fuel tank, master brake cylinder, and floor mat. However, there are some serious challenges to consider. The doors are admittedly in rough shape, and there's a major electrical issue. The existing wiring is crumbling and needs complete replacement. Currently, it's running with headers only for exhaust, so you'll need to factor in a complete exhaust system. On the positive side, the windshield and rear glass are in great shape, which is often a costly replacement on these old trucks, and it has a forward hinged hood, which can make engine access easier. 18. We're taking a closer look at a classic beauty, a 1972 Ford F-250 that's up for grabs on Craigslist. With an asking price of $9,000, this truck is ready to find its new home. Now let's dive into the details. The seller mentions that this F-250 is in good condition, and from what I can see, it looks like it's been well maintained. The truck has a clean Oregon title in the seller's name, which is always a good sign. Under the hood, you'll find a 360 V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission, providing plenty of power for all your hauling needs. The truck also comes equipped with power steering and power brakes, making it easier to handle than some of its vintage counterparts. The seller has made some noteworthy improvements over the past 2 years, including new brakes all around, a new gas tank, and fresh plugs, points, condenser, wires, and coil. These updates suggest that the truck has been cared for and is ready to hit the road. With 145,000 miles on the odometer, this F-250 has seen its fair share of adventures, but the seller assures us that it's an excellent running and driving truck. The blue paint job adds to its classic charm, making it a head-turner wherever it goes. Now, it's important to note that with any vehicle of this age, there may be some imperfections or areas that need attention. The seller doesn't mention any specific issues, but it's always a good idea to inspect the truck thoroughly before making a purchase. 19. We've got something truly special for you. A 1979 Chevy K5 Blazer convertible that's been meticulously restored and is now up for sale on Craigslist. This beauty is located in Las Vegas, Nevada, and is being offered at $33,000. Now let's get into the details that make this Blazer so incredible. According to the seller, this was their grandfather's vehicle, and it's clear that a tremendous amount of love and effort has gone into bringing it back to its former glory. The seller states that every single nut and screw has been replaced with genuine General Motors parts, ensuring that this Blazer is as close to factory fresh as possible. Under the hood, you'll find a brand new 5.7-liter 350 crate motor, straight from GM, paired with a brand new transmission. The seller also mentions that the rear end and front end have been completely replaced, leaving no stone unturned in the restoration process. With only 1,000 miles on the odometer since the rebuild, this Blazer is just getting started on its new lease on life. One of the standout features of this K5 Blazer is the fact that it's a convertible, making it the perfect vehicle for cruising down the Las Vegas Strip on a warm summer night. The 4X4 system is also brand new and is reported to work flawlessly, allowing you to take this classic off-road with confidence. Inside, you'll find a luxurious two-tone leather interior, complete with heated seats and a modern stereo system. And let's not forget about the ice-cold air conditioning, which is a must-have in the desert heat of Las Vegas. 20. We're diving into the world of classic workhorses with a 1965 Ford F-100 long bed that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This vintage beauty is being offered at $4,500, and it's got a lot of character to boot. Under the hood, you'll find a 300 cubic inch straight-six engine, which is known for its reliability and low-end torque. Paired with a 4-speed manual transmission with a granny gear, This F100 is ready to tackle any job you throw at it. The seller mentions that the truck starts and runs well, so you can be confident that it's mechanically sound. In terms of recent maintenance, the seller has gone the extra mile to ensure that this F100 is ready for its new owner. They've installed a new battery, starter, brakes, fuel pump, fuel filter, and master brake cylinder, so you won't have to worry about any immediate repairs. One of the standout features of this truck is the fact that it has trailer hitches on both the front and back, making it easy to tow whatever you need, whether it's a boat, a camper, or a work trailer. Now, let's talk about the condition of the body. The seller is upfront about the fact that there is some rust, particularly in the bed of the truck. This is not uncommon for a vehicle of this age, and it's important to keep in mind that this is a work truck, not a showpiece. However, if you're handy with a welder and don't mind putting in some elbow grease, this could be a great opportunity to restore this F100 to its former glory.